About me, I often say I have two lives. My first life was in broadcast journalism. So I was a producer, I was behind the scenes, and I worked most of my career at an NBC affiliate in Orlando, WESH TV News, in case you're ever in Orlando. And I worked my way up to management and senior executive producer in the newsroom. Loved every minute of it, but got out of news based on family. And I was doing some freelance work at a trade show, an air show, actually. And through that met Marcelo Zalessi, my business partner who's here. And a lot of folks back then, that was almost 10 years ago, were doing what they were calling happy face videos or highlight reels with music. But there wasn't a lot of content. And so we sort of saw this need to create video content in the convention space. We work a lot with associations and then also with trade show organizers around the country. So we sort of took our broadcast journalism backgrounds and put it into this space. I'm here to tell you this is much more fun, this is much better, especially nowadays. But anyway, so I wanted to give you a little bit of background. And what I want to talk specifically about today is how to use video to generate revenue. I think this is something that we're hearing our clients talk about all the time, and if we can make it happen so that you can deliver your message through video and generate revenue, that feels like a win-win without question. So when we talk about video at events, these are the kinds of things we're talking about. We're seeing folks doing daily news headlines or live studios on the trade show floor, like a live television set. Facebook Live. Facebook Live has changed live streaming for events for the better because now people have access to this, and I'll show you some examples of that. And then I know there was a question last time about how to continue the marketing past your show. We believe that video can really help do that throughout the year by having a television brand and potentially by having a sponsor for that. So the sponsorship side of it is what we'll focus on today, and I'm going to show you a lot of examples that either our clients are doing, that we've seen, that you might be able to implement, and how those folks are using the sponsorships to generate revenue. To sort of summarize the ways I believe that companies will pay to be a part of video content, these are the ways that they can do it. A lot of times it's an interview with a company representative, because then they're actually delivering their message. They're actually talking to their target audience about their new products or their services. If they have a commercial that they spent a lot of time and money on, boom, you can play their commercial to your audience as a part of those video highlights or as a part of that live studio. Logo, you may have a potential sponsor that's really looking for more brand recognition. Maybe it's a new company, wants to get their name out there. Just their logo on all the videos can be meaningful. Television anchors can do product placement or mention that to you. And then, of course, new product demos are very, very visual. And this is a great way for an exhibitor to show off a new product by having it either live streamed or recorded. So I'll show you some. I want to dig right into some examples because sometimes I think that's the best way to see things and see how it works. One of our customers is the Risk Insurance Management Society, or RIMS, if you're familiar with RIMS. Several years ago, we worked with them to create RIMS TV. And each year they sell a sponsorship overall for RIMS TV. In the past it was Liberty Mutual. They had that sponsorship for several years, and then this year it was FM Global. So if you think about all those different things that a sponsor could do, you're about to see it. And I'll show you the video because during RIMS TV we interviewed somebody from FM Global so they could talk about their new products and services. They have a commercial. That's 15 seconds and pretty bizarre, so it's pretty memorable. And it's only 15 seconds, so it's not torture to watch, right? Their logo is on all of the videos. The anchor mentions it. You'll hear him say it. And there's often a call to action towards the end of the video saying, you know, come by and see our new products. Come by and talk to Joe. Whatever it is that that exhibitor wants to get their message across. And these were produced on site for RIMS. So I'm going to show you just about a minute of this. And watch, you'll see the 15-second commercial, which is a little bizarre and memorable. And then you'll watch for the logos and you'll hear the anchor talk about this. So this.
Education.
No other conference has such a great array of seminars,
advocacy,
maximize congressional engagement,
community.
I'm really excited about meeting lots of different people.
RIMS 2017 is moving the industry forward in the city of brotherly love.
Welcome, my friends, to the revolution.
Welcome to RIMS TV, sponsored by FM Global. The 2017 marketplace is open and thousands are here, ready to connect with the best solutions providers in the industry.
Okay, so did you notice that Monty was standing in front of the FM Global booth? That was more product placement. The FM Global logo is on the videos for the entire time, and the content actually goes on to be RIMS messaging, right? So highlights of the event, what's happening, what's new, what are trends in the industry, and we can interview someone from FM Global so that they become a thought leader. So I'll get into pricing a little later, but FM Global paid a large sum of money to be this sponsor and has renewed for next year because they saw such a value in this. And there's a value for RIMS because that's new revenue generated, right? So that's sort of what an overall sponsorship might look like of video content. The next thing I want to show you is actually from ConExpo, this tiny little construction show in Las Vegas you might have heard of, right? And at ConExpo, what they want to do is actually bundle their sponsorships. So if you buy a large booth, if you're a key sponsor, they include an interview in the videos. Just quick, it's a soundbite with different companies, again, showing off their new products. And this is a way for the exhibitor to get more exposure because this is shared to the entire ConExpo audience, not only on site, but also digitally. So that's really expanding their reach beyond their trade show booth. So I'm going to show you just a couple of these, and these were produced every day with different.
You're watching ConExpo ConAg TV. I'm Rachel Kopchak here in the Gold Lot outside on a beautiful day with over 2,500 exhibitors to see. We have you covered. Here's a look at some of the products you may have missed.
Welcome to McNeil's booth. We're debuting our new Flex control system. This is our latest innovation. Some of the highlights include an Android platform that allows for easy integration of new technologies. We also have smart modules that allow you to do easy diagnostics and make troubleshooting a cinch, all while having some of the best drum control in the industry.
First unit, that is a 210, is a knuckle boom cranes, a very powerful lift, the best in class, and it's a very good machine. We have a
So you get the idea, right? Different exhibitors can be a part of the video program at your show. And that way they can be giving you revenue for their exposure. And to what Jacqueline said earlier, a lot of these exhibitors will then share these videos, which then goes to be a part of the marketing platform, right? Because remember, it can be branded for your show, but the exhibitor is the one being interviewed or highlighted, so they're going to be more apt to share it with their audience. These two examples were recorded on site and turned the same day, so they were distributed almost immediately, right? But they were not live. And I mentioned that Facebook Live is really changing the face of live streaming. Just a couple years ago, if you would live stream either a program or an interview or something from your show, you probably know you had to market the crap out of it to get people who are sitting at home to literally log on at 2 o'clock to watch the live stream, right? No more. Facebook Live has changed all of that. It shows up right in the palm of their hand. It shows up on their phone instantly as they're checking Facebook. And then, as you probably know, it ends up recorded and it lives there. And you can also stream to multiple sources simultaneously and record it, so then you have a video that goes to YouTube or your website. So it's a lot of bang for the buck to be doing Facebook Live elements. So I want to show you an interview. This one's from Wind Power, which is the American Wind Energy Association. So this was Wind Power TV sponsored by GE, and not just the big GE, but a very specific part of the GE company who really wanted to get their message out to the wind energy audience. So let me show you this video.
And I'm joined now by Ann McEntee, who is the CEO of GE's onshore wind business. Ann, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kimberly. Thrilled to be here.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit. You had a big development this year. You acquired Alstom Renewable Energy. How's that been going?
Look, it's been going great. When you look at Alstom Wind, what it's brought into our portfolio is actually 2 new renewable energy segments. We traditionally at GE had the onshore wind segment. Now we have a new offshore wind division as well as a hydro division. Ultimately,
so that was GE's main message. They wanted everyone in the wind world, if you will, to know about that new change and to know about how they've expanded to offshore wind energy as well. So these interviews really give the sponsor a platform to become a thought leader, to talk about their different new services or new products. It can be live on Facebook, live streamed to other sources, recorded on. They can send it out, and they can pay to be a part of this, which again generates revenue for AWEA or for your organization, right? So that's kind of a more typical interview that you might see on Facebook Live or live streamed. I want to show you something that we thought was really creative. International Woodworking Federation is a large client of ours, and we've worked with them for several years, and they wanted to do something different with Facebook Live. It had just come out, and we have IWF TV with a host and all of that that's a little bit more highly produced, but they really wanted to do something more organic, something hands-on with a specific point of view to show woodworkers the new products on their show floor. So we worked with them to do this. We found a professional woodworker, so you have to keep in mind, not a professional television talent, professional woodworker, literally strapped a GoPro to his chest, and then we had another camera showing what was happening, but he would literally go up to a booth and show you the saw or the machinery, show you how it worked, and you would see his point of view, right? We could have put it on his head, but then he would have looked ridiculous, so we went with the chest. I'm sorry. So you'll see this. I'll show it to you. And they went from booth to booth. It was planned in advance, so he knew what he was going to show. They didn't go live until everybody was ready, but it really has this organic feel. And again, exhibitors can pay to have this kind of exposure from the show floor. So let me show you just a few minutes of how this looked.
Hey IWF fans, I'm here at the Putsch booth with Robert, and we're going to check out some of the premium panel saws. Now this one right here, what's the name for this?
This is our Space Saver Edition. It's our most compact vertical panel saw that we offer. Great for any size cabinet shop or anyone who's making big squares and just small squares.
I really like this because it's, like you said, it's for a smaller shop or any type of shop that needs to save space because it's turned up. So as you can see, nice easy slide, up and down. Any feature you want to call out on this before we give it a cut?
But we've got some, one nice thing about this is that we got a full steel frame on this. It's going to give us a lot of rigidity, a lot of predictability.
All right, so I don't know much about panel saws, but if that guy wants to show them to me, I'm all in, right? I mean, and he really kind of had a good personality as he went through, and they warmed up, and they showed lots of different things from the show floor. And again, exhibitors can pay for this to be featured as a part of your branded television program, which then generates revenue for your organization. I mentioned multiple outlets, and I think that's important too, because there's technology now that allows you to not only stream live to Facebook, but simultaneously stream to YouTube, to your website, to Instagram, multiple different sources at the same time, not to mention recording it. So really think about the exposure for that. And if you're working on your personas and your messaging, like the MDG folks were talking about, you can customize that content as well. So you've got the content that's being paid for by the exhibitors combined with your marketing message that's then getting out there. So it seems like a way that you can really reach folks in a lot of different ways at the same time, simultaneously. Something that we're seeing more and more and more on trade show floors are live studios or live sets. And they don't have to be expensive. This is from several years ago at IAEE's Expo. We were first starting to do a live studio. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago, actually. And, look at how expensive that was. It wasn't, right? All it was 3 chairs and 2 6-foot tables. And then when the production equipment comes in and the cameras come in, it feels like a studio, even though, there wasn't a whole lot of build out there. But then you can see the other extreme of that. This was from the National Association of Broadcasters, right? So your friendly contractor may be able to build you a really cool set like this, right? If that's in your budget or if that's something that you think your audience would relate to. At Broadcasters, behind the plexiglass there, they actually had a full control room, and it was plexiglass all around. So attendees could watch the live program on the front side or walk around to the back and actually see all the control room through the plexiglass. So it was kind of a behind-the-scenes look. Again, these are broadcasters, you know, they don't mess around, right? What we actually see the most of is something like this, something in the middle. This is from the North American veterinary community. This show was in Orlando, and they had a smaller set, but it was branded. They brand theirs as Spark or Spark TV, your veterinary news, your veterinary life. So this was all about veterinary news. So they did live interviews, live on Facebook, live on site, from this set that were recorded, and then those interviews were put into stories and into content to be used year-round. So we're actually still producing content now featuring the sound bites that were recorded during their event, which was several months ago. So again, to the question of how to extend the reach, this is a way to do that and getting a lot more bang for your buck. And these studios and these sets can be sponsored in more than one way. The content could be sponsored. Imagine Rims TV sponsored by FM Global, like we saw. But the actual hard set could also have a sponsor. So it doesn't in this case, but you could imagine logos on there. You can imagine gobos. You can imagine all kinds of ways to deliver the sponsor's message, not to mention through the live interviews, right? And those live studio interviews I think are really important, because if they're only paid content, then it's like a TV station that only shows commercials, right? So we don't recommend doing that. We recommend working in your messaging. What are your marketing points? What is it that you want folks to know about your trade show? What's new? What's different? What are the trends? You can have exhibitors come and do product demonstrations or show off new technology. This is a perfect place for thought leaders in your industry to come and give their thoughts on what's trending, what's new, what's different. And then we're also seeing a lot of folks use these live studios and Facebook Live for what we call a deeper dive with speakers. So let's say you have a big keynote speaker, you have a really popular session, you can have that speaker then come to the set and do Q&A. You can set up high tops with charging stations and let people come in and ask questions. And suddenly, it's not only a revenue generator, but it's also a place where people can get more education and learn more. So I'm going to show you a real quick interview from Spark. This is a simple interview that was done on the set, but you'll hear the messaging from this sponsor.
Hi everybody, I'm Carol Moore. On this edition of NABC Spark, your veterinary news, your veterinary life, we're diving deeper into the future of the vaccine industry. We're joined by Kathy Martin with Elanco Animal Health. Kathy, thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
Let's begin by talking about Elanco's acquisition.
Sure. So we recently acquired the BI vaccine line, which has a lot of the vaccine lines that veterinarians are very familiar with, the Ultra line, the BronchoShield line. And we're really excited about that. We feel like that is the best line out in the industry, so we're really proud to bring it into the Elanco family of products.
Again, she was at that trade show largely to talk about that acquisition, and she wanted all the veterinarians who were there to know about that acquisition. And this interview goes on for about 4 or 5 minutes, where they talk about why important those vaccines are, and she's positioned as a thought leader. And then at the end, she mentions, come by my booth and we can talk more, so she gets a little bit of exposure there. So there are a lot of different ways to work in these interviews into live sets and live studios. And I think it's really important to talk, too, about the distribution of this, right? So for us, we look at it as 2 buckets. You have your on-site distribution and your digital distribution. And so the on-site distribution can include playback in hotel rooms. So your attendees can see themselves and their fellow attendees on TV the next morning in their hotel rooms. And that's still kind of sexy because they get to see themselves on TV. Sponsors can see their message in the hotel rooms and on the shuttle buses. We're seeing more and more folks play back videos like this in a general session. Captive audience, right? And so think about the ROI for those sponsors and what they might be willing to pay for that kind of exposure, as well as a corporate theater potentially on a show floor. Maybe a place, a wellness center, somewhere where people are going to put their feet up and take a break. They can be watching the broadcast that's branded to your show with your messaging that's sponsored. Then the other type of distribution is beyond the walls of the trade show, right? So this is obviously social media. You can link to all of these videos and be live on these sites. It should be posted on your website, potentially year-round. So again, that can increase the ROI for a sponsor. If that video is going to live on your website where their audience is throughout the entire year, and we'd like to include links to the emails when you're sending that out to your database. It's actually proven that even just the word video in a subject line will increase the open rate. So if there's a video in the email, that's a way to connect with folks more and more. We've talked a little bit about year-round content, and I just want to mention it because I do think that that really ups the level of the sponsorship specifically, as well as a way to help deliver all those amazing marketing messages that we talked about. Whether that's a video version of your newsletter, it can be used clearly for attendee acquisition. I know video is really becoming more and more important in terms of that. Exhibitor acquisition. Maybe you need to do a campaign targeting just potential exhibitors to get folks to exhibit on your show floor. Well, once you know that persona, once you know that audience, you can hear testimonials from fellow exhibitors, what's the value, get really specific about what they're going to get out of exhibiting at your show. Obviously, testimonials and then for associations, I think this can be used a lot for member recruitment. So I want to talk for a second about the sales side of this and how you can actually sell it to get those sponsorship dollars, right? So, well, you know that we are a little biased, right? But we believe in video and actually showing a video to explain the video. So let me show you a sample of a sales video that was created.
Hi everyone, I'm Cara Moore, the host of NAVC Spark, your veterinary news, your veterinary life. I'm glad you're with us. I'd like to tell you about an innovative way to reach the veterinary community via our new online video channel. Spark was designed to educate and inspire the animal health community in a brand new way. We'll spark innovation through coverage of industry news such as medical breakthroughs and new product launches. We'll spark conversation through in-depth panel discussions and expert interviews. Most importantly, we'll inspire action through compelling stories from the field with the industry's top professionals. You can be a part of that action by sponsoring Spark. As a sponsor, your organization can drive the conversation by
So you start to get the idea, right? The video explains what the product is and what that's going to look like. So that would be if you're trying to look for a sponsor overall. You might send that out to all of your exhibitors or to a handful of key exhibitors or maybe new folks who are looking for a sponsorship. But let's say you're really trying to go for that one title sponsorship. In that case, you can completely customize.
Hello, Hills team. I'm Cara Moore, the host of NAVC Spark, your veterinary news, your veterinary life. I'm glad you're with us. I'd like to tell you about an innovative way to reach the veterinary community via our new online video channel.
It's customized specifically for Hills. So in this case, Tom Bond, the executive director at NAVC, he did what he called a road show. And he had a couple of customized videos for Purina, for Hills, for a few very, very specific companies in his industry. He took this video to their office, showed them this, and when they saw their own logo as a part of it and saw what it could look like, at last check, I think 4 had signed up for $30,000 each. And that's a real-life example of how customizing it for a potential overall sponsor can really generate some big dollars. These are not to be read, but I wanted to show you just a little bit of how some of our clients are actually incorporating the TV element into their exhibitor and sponsor prospectus. So you don't have to read all of this. Obviously, it's small, and I'm going to show you the pricing in just a second. But this was from RIMS. So there was RIMS TV overall as a sponsorship, commercial airtime, or an advertorial to be produced on site. This is from Break TV, which is with SAE. The Break Colloquium is coming up in Orlando. Again, they're offering a title sponsorship and custom advertorial. And I just did a screen grab. These are just elements that are pulled out of their exhibitor prospectus. This is from Community Bankers. They actually named theirs Expomercial, which I thought was really clever. That's how, instead of saying an advertorial or a commercial, they actually call them Expomercials and sell them, which I think is really clever. So I talked to a couple of our clients, and they were open with us sharing some of the pricing. So I just wanted to give you an idea. And I think the most important thing about pricing is that it has to be in line with your other sponsorships. You don't want to price it too low so that it's not valued, because I think with the distribution, this can have huge ROI. But you also don't want to price it so high that it's out of the realm. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Sorry. I thought you were saying hello, Richard. So RIMS TV actually sells that sponsorship for $70,000. So that's huge, and by the time they pay the production costs, they've probably generated close to $20,000 in revenue for the organization. If we add Break TV, right now they're advertising at about $12,000 a day, and again, offering a different price. You can see these are massively different, but it's because the shows are different. So the sponsorship dollars have to fit in line with what other sponsorships that you're offering. And then ICBA Live, I showed you that from their prospectus. They charge $7,500 for the infomercial. And the production costs for those are about $2,500 each, so they're profiting $5,000 on every one they sell.
So the $25,000 per day means, as a sponsor, I'm getting 1 day of exposure?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I was just clarifying that the $25,000 per day is a sponsor getting 1 day of exposure versus I'm on TV the whole time for $7,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, what we see to be more successful is someone who does an exclusive sponsorship so that they get 3 or 4 full days. But keep in mind, during 1 day, there might be 10, 20 videos. There might be 10 Facebook Live hits. There might be 10 different testimonials. That's how our clients do it sometimes, yes. That's exactly right. Now, I'll tell you too, though, some clients take that a step further, right? And RIMS is one of them. So RIMS sells the exclusive sponsorship to FM Global overall. If you see RIMS TV, you see FM Global. You're not going to miss that. However, they also sell advertorials. So at the end of the RIMS TV program, just like when you're watching TV, then the advertorials come up, which are interviews with different exhibitors. So obviously they watch for competitors, but in general, that's another opportunity for revenue. So they're actually selling both. And as long as it's produced right and explained right, I think it makes perfect sense. Just think about your newscast, right? You might be watching severe weather coverage sponsored by Home Depot, right? Who's seen that? But then there's a commercial break where you might see a Lowe's commercial. So people are used to seeing this, and I think that you can use this at your shows to generate revenue specifically. So I want to take questions if you have questions, and I don't mind sharing the specific pricing for some of these clients because we've asked them and they've said that that was okay. I just wanted to summarize by these few opportunities really quickly. This is what we kind of said at the beginning, but now that you've seen some of the examples, and then if it's okay, I wanted to play one. Do I have time for like 1 2-minute video?
While we do this changeover of computers, we can continue to do Q&A with you.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I'll hit play on the video and then we'll do Q&A and switch it out. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, sorry. Hold on 1 second. This is what some sponsors are saying about what every sponsor wants, a customized platform for delivering a message to their target audience. Hear from some sponsors who have done just that through CNTV and generated revenue for the event in the process.
I love ICBA Live. I mean, you get it streamed throughout the sessions. It's on the app. People come by and go, oh my gosh, I saw you on the Expo commercial. So I think that it's really gotten us some visibility that we've not done in the past.
We're a small company and we need a little bit of exposure. And we're having a small booth here at ICAST. We've realized that probably the most effective way is to create one of these videos. The response has been great. Many people came here and specifically said that they saw the video and that's why they came here.
It was great to walk around and see all the folks. You know, we've got all of our people up on all the huge screens, and it was, you know, timely.
This presence here enables us to have a platform to talk about how we can provide more value. So the ROI so far has been fantastic. We've had really strong foot traffic through our booth.
It has given us incredible exposure. We have met bankers here, and we're always tapped into great banks. This gave us the ability to reach mass amount of banks at one time.
I would definitely recommend it to anyone. It gives you the exposure that you're not used to getting, and people are kind of searching out, and you're an instant celebrity with your products and services. So it's a great idea.
So that's what some of the sponsors are saying. So I just thought it was important to hear from the actual exhibitor. So do you want me to unplug?
So our Shepherd AV team is going to make a quick equipment
change.
Come
on in for a quick
And while
change.
we're doing that, we can do Q&A. Doug?
Great presentation, great ideas.
So
oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have any commentary or thoughts on platforms for integrating video on your website, whether it be with STIA or other products?
Great idea. A great question. Yeah, and I didn't really address that. We're seeing a different range, lots of different platforms being used. We actually use a third party to host all of our videos, and then we create a platform customized for the client because I think it depends on where's it going to be, right? So if this is going to be front and center on your homepage, that platform needs to be huge. You need to be able to see the different options. We always recommend linking to a page specifically for video so that it's all in one place at one time, so that you may have a collection of videos, and so people don't have to search to find them. They can go to see ICBA TV, and then boom, they're all in one place. We happen to use JW Player. We've used Bright Cove in the past. Let's see, what else? Marcel, am I missing? Who else have we worked with? The two main ones are Bright Cove, which I know a lot of folks use, and then we now have switched to JW Player. So I think it's a good question, though. Clients can set up their own platform, or your production company can do it for you. And often I'd say let them do it for you, because they probably have an account. Any other questions? Yeah.
So I noticed that the hosts within the videos were like professional hosts. Do these people come from the production company, or are they internally trained on how to behave on video? I mean, it does require a certain personality type to do that. So I know for my microelectronics engineers, we can't pull it from within our group. So where do we find those people for video?
Great question. So those are all folks that we've hired, CNTV hires, either they're with us full-time or they're independent contractors. I think two things come to mind. Number one, it's important to make sure that your host is someone that your audience will identify with. I mean, we tell this story, but we have different hosts for the Society of Petroleum Engineers than we do for, say, Surf Expo, right? I mean, those two people need to look very differently. So I recommend having the production company find that person for you. However, I think it's important to have your own people on TV. So let that professional interview somebody from your organization. That presents them as a thought leader and gets them exposure too. And you saw with the woodworker, he was just a woodworker, you know, and there was something kind of organic about that. So it can work for a feel if you want to have someone from your organization. But I think generally, especially if you're going to be producing videos on site day of, you need somebody who's got a little bit of experience in it. Any other questions or thoughts? I was waiting for your question.
Thank you, as promised, Carrie. I just had a question about, I saw the Thought Leader Theater with RIMS, and I was wondering if RIMS, I'm familiar with RIMS too, so that's helpful, but I was wondering if they price that separately. That seems like a really high value target.
They definitely do. I don't know, do you remember the price for Thought Leader? That was $75,000. So RIMS, what they did, they had, in addition to RIMS TV, they had a Thought Leader Theater, where they had people come up and give 20-minute presentations. They were all recorded. They can be sent out live. And the Thought Leader Theater actually had a separate sponsor. Those 20-minute sessions were all recorded, and then they were sent out in the months following RIMS as a way to have continuing content after the event. But yes, it was priced out separately. And I'll tell you, RIMS gets some big dollar sponsors. $75,000 for the Thought Leader Theater alone, plus $70,000 for RIMS TV, plus they sell advertorials. So, and there are some costs there, obviously. I mean, there's the cost for the production company. There's the cost for the actual theater to be built. I mean, there are some costs, but they come out ahead. They come out ahead.
And there's your acquiring audiences, too.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's right. Any other thoughts before I hand over the clicker? Do you get the clicker? This is the official handing of the clicker? No? Okay.
Quick question, please.
Hi, sure.
If I was going to do the basic package of what would work for your meeting, what would I need to budget for?
That's a great question. So about an average of 5 people on site, which would be a talent, a producer, 2 videographers, and an editor, is about $12,000 a day. So usually for a 3-day trade show, usually it ends up being about $40,000.
Okay, and that includes or does not include travel and hotel and expenses?
It depends an okay answer? Okay. I think a lot of times it depends. Okay. Generally, no. However, oftentimes there are comp hotel rooms or, you know, yeah. We always say never let travel get in the way of a good production. So I think in general, at least in our case, clients will pay for travel on top of that, but it doesn't have to be a
so around 12 grand a day.
About that. Yep. That's for about 5 people. And, you know, keep in mind, some shows, we're at a show right now where we have 7 people in Atlanta for the National Apartment Association. We're going next week to a show in Vegas where we're sending 3 people because they want to cover less events and it's a smaller event. So it depends. How many cameras do you need? Do you want 1 reporter or 2? You know, that's about an average for a team of 5.
Time for one more. Anyone?
Anybody else?
Okay, terrific. Okay. Carrie, thank you very much.
Sure, no problem. Take this.
I'll carry that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.